Combination squares have been around for almost 150 years, but most people simply do not know how to fully utilize them. This is far more than just a tool for checking right angles. A good combination square can do so much more, and by the end of this video, you'll wonder how you ever got along with knowing how to do all this stuff. I'm going to be moving fast because I know your time's valuable, and you're really going to want to stick around to the end to see all of these clever tips. So let's get started. I own two sizes. I have a short 6-inch for slipping in an apron pocket, so I have it at a moment's notice, and I keep a 12-inch version close at hand because this one will do more things than most people realize. Everybody knows you can use a combination square to check a 90-degree angle, but not just workpieces. Use it for machine setups, such as checking the angle of your saw blade or your jointer fence. Don't forget that it can be positioned both ways if your bandsaw doesn't have at least 6 inches of resaw capacity for the small square. But for larger jobs, I prefer the 12-inch rule because the longer the rule is, the easier it is to see if something's out of square. Of course, any tri-square can be used to check a 90-degree angle, but only a combination square is capable of also checking the second most common angle in woodworking, 45 degrees. In fact, I often remove the body from my 6 or 12-inch square, and I use the head alone to set up angles on my table saw, my bandsaw, or even my jointer. A combination square makes an excellent depth gauge. For example, here I'm using one to measure the depth of a mortise, so I can transfer that measurement to the mating tenon stock. And here I'm measuring the depth of the slot for a tapered sliding dovetail joint, which I then transferred to my router table, which brings us to another use. We already talked about using combination squares to ensure blades and fences are square, but the same tool may be used to accurately set the height of bits and blades. I sometimes use the scale like this, but more often than not, I just set the head to a mark on the scale that I want, and then I stand the rule on end and I raise the bit until it touches the body. This method really pays off on a table saw, where it can be difficult to find the exact apex of the blade. Besides setting up your cuts, a combination square may also be used to fine-tune a machine. By placing the edge of the body in a miter slot and extending the rule until it touches a tooth on your saw blade, you can see if the blade is parallel to the miter slot, a critical setting on any saw. You can use a similar method to ensure the fence is also parallel to the slot. The rule may be used to ensure your jointer's outfeed table is even with the apex of the cutters. Then you can check the depth of the cut by measuring the difference between the two tables. Speaking of a good rule, a good square has one that's ground precisely straight. Use it to check a workpiece for flatness, or even the sole of a plane. And the clear, precise graduation marks on the scale are far more accurate for layout than a measuring tape. Speaking of layout, one of my favorite combination square tricks is drawing lines parallel to an edge. I just set the body to the mark on the scale, place a pencil on the end of the rule, and drag the body against the edge. This process also makes it possible to draw a line perpendicular to an end or edge that's much longer than the length of your rule. Once you learn how to use the square's head in conjunction with both the ends and edges of the rule, it opens up all sorts of options. I use it to precisely position parts during project assembly, such as setting a piece in a precise location and making sure it's square and even parallel to an edge. Woodturners aren't the only ones who occasionally need to find the center of a round object. Center finding attachments can be purchased from many squares, and they work on both round and square stock. But even without a special attachment, a combination square can be used to find the center by guessing the first time, then checking from the opposite side. If your marks don't match up, simply split the difference. Another deluxe accessory that works with many combination squares is a protractor. With this, your square is capable of measuring and marking any angle, not just 90 and 45 degrees. Some squares also come equipped with a level. It may be a little small for framing a house, but it's ideal for smaller jobs like hanging picture frames and even cabinets. Many squares also come with a secret feature that few people know about. Inside the head is often a little scribe that may be used to scratch a line when a pencil isn't available. I'm sure with a little thought you can come up with even more ways to use these versatile tools. If you have a good one, take good care of it. It'll serve you well for a lifetime. Now here's another useful tool that'll improve your shop time. It's just a couple of cuts. Your ears will be fine, right? They will be if you have your IsoTunes Bluetooth earbuds in, because you'd already have your ANSI certified hearing protection on because you're listening to your favorite music and podcasts. And you're supporting a small family business at the same time. Please use the link below this video to learn more and to show them you support what we do as well.